Hey, we took a week off last week. I hate using the same word twice in a sentence. It goes back to a Jimmy Norton thing when he was on the Opie and Anthony show. It just drives me nuts. He talked about it once and same word, but yes,
week of the week and then the week. Yeah. And then we weekly took a week off during that week. I wasn't there during that week anyway.
Sean was tied up last week. Will was on his way to Detroit. Will might pop into the show a little bit later. He's playing catch up. He goes vacationing in Detroit.
That's normal.
Yep. Detroit in February. What else?
Detroit's definitely known as the vacation capital of the United States.
And Derek just said he had something come up last week, and he'd tell us about it this week. And then he texted today and said, hey, I'm packing for Amelia Island. So I guess he's going to go out and see if he can avoid the coronavirus.
That's reasonable. Yeah. I think that's reasonable. I mean, if I could go to Corona Island, I was literally going to say if I could go to Corona Island, if I could go to Amelia Island, I'd be going.
You actually did say if you could go to Corona Island, and then you said I almost said I could go to Corona Island.
It's crazy.
There has been some talk about Amelia even canceling. It's kind of a interesting topic. I don't pay too much attention to that stuff. I probably should, but I got my own illnesses to worry about.
Mental.
Mostly
mental.
Self-centered arse that I am.
All of that.
So we obviously got Sean on with us tonight. Will might join us later, and Derek's packing, and
you and Derek said that I was permanently off the show because of the comments I was making 2 weeks ago, but here I am. You're that desperate.
Well, we know there were some audio problems also, so we brought Sean back. Hopefully we can do this without the audio problems. That dang new editor we have, he's kind of busy, and
or lack thereof.
Eventually we'll get back and remaster that show.
I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. If during the podcast you hear me taking a sip of a beverage, or I miss the button and you hear me chomping on ice, it's a gin and tonic, and it's really good. And I'm not going to apologize ever again for drinking Bombay Sapphire because it's awesome. And if Bombay Sapphire would like to be a sponsor of the show, I'm sure that we could talk about that. Could we talk about that, John?
We could, but I'm not a big drinker, but I'm always.
I'm not a big drinker either, but every once in a while.
But
G&T, man.
If you would like to avoid the Bombay Sapphire ads and have the editor have a little bit more time and some production, just remember we do have a Patreon link on our new simplified, updated website.
Shameless.
Hop on over to NoDrivingGloves.com and you'll see links to the Facebook and Instagram pages. You'll see a link to I think that I finally got the Apple and Google links up there to subscribe directly to the show, and of course the Patreon page. And we're still inching closer to being able to do a video show, which I'm not sure how that's going to work because none of us are on time for the show when we say anyway, and then we sit there and chat and talk for 20 minutes. So I guess that would be part of the video show. You would get
part of the video. It's fine. I mean, just don't edit it. Just let it roll, man. The cool thing about the live video, I've done some live video stuff, and the guest interaction is awesome, but also just the audience interaction is really it's fun, and there's cool questions flying in amongst the "you stink" comments, which that's inevitable, that's going to happen, but it's fun to be able to interact back and forth with the audience that's actually tuning in. I really like it. I'd love to be a part of that, he says, hoping he can be a part of that.
We'll give it a try.
What are we talking about tonight, John?
Just send us money.
Yeah, just send us money and we'll make things happen. We'll do cool things with vehicles.
Oh, I think we were gonna do what everybody does, since it's unfortunate, and we were talking about the coronavirus and shutting down Amelia Island. To be honest, the whole team had tickets to go to Geneva this year, kind of, sort of, maybe, and we were going to cover the show, and it was going to be a surprise thing for everybody. but they can't. Like I said, they canceled the show, so we have to cover Geneva just the way everybody else did, is through pictures and the press. So we're going to talk about a couple of the things maybe that launched in Geneva, and if you don't care, go away.
A couple of things that no one outside of the press actually got to see because Geneva was canceled. Yay.
Really surprised me that they did that, but I have a feeling that was more of the Swiss government getting involved, and
yeah,
I would love to find out who got paid and what got paid and how the money transferred, because you cancel it 3 or 4 days before. I know how much money I have invested into just shows, and it's never $100 or something, and it just. Sure, some of these manufacturers
not in the 5 figures. I mean, the amount of travel that you do and the amount of travel that I've been doing up until about the last year. I mean, it's thousands of bucks to get out and cover all these events. It's not cheap. And then, have you seen any pictures of the actual show floor from Geneva?
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of the kind of abandoned show floor, but all the equipment's there.
Yeah,
I mean, so. Everybody, Porsche, Alfa, whoever, you name it, Mercedes, whoever was going to be there already had all of their stuff there. It's
they didn't get everything set up.
Yeah, they just needed
always set up in the last 2 or 3 days. The way those things come together is mind blowing to me. But Geneva's different, isn't it? Like, Geneva is one of those shows where they set up months in advance for that thing.
Well, they said, and it's a show. It's a show that not a lot of I don't want to say not a lot of. It's a show that's the only show that some manufacturers do. Right. If you remember the old Spiker car, that's the only show that Spiker would attend with product launches and debuts. You would see them at Pebble Beach. You would see them at Amelia Island occasionally for some test drives and that. But it wasn't a product launch. It wasn't a big display. And, you've got what? This is the place, Koenigsegg, this is where they show off their cars, and we know, Koenigsegg launched what to me is probably one of the most radical cars there, just because of the generator.
The driveline config is pretty amazing. We'd definitely get into that in a few, because it has one of the components in the driveline that I've been following Koenigsegg developing for 5 or 6 years now, I think. It's not just the supercar hypercar though. I mean, it's literally like the major OEs, the huge global manufacturing conglomerates. That's Geneva is the place where they launch everything. Well, it's
because you've got you got Aston there, you've got Ferrari, Lamborghini, all these places or companies are dropping their new models. So even if you are a run-of-the-mill company, you're gonna put your car out because the press is there. Everybody gets to see it.
Yeah, and I'm talking like everything from the Volkswagen Group is there. Everything from global GM is there. Everything from like all of your Japanese manufacturers, like anything that's hugely mainstream is mixed into Geneva amongst the glitz and glamour that is Koenigsegg or, Pagani, or name super high-end hypercar manufacturer, bleeding edge tech company. Name all them, they're there. And I'm waving at the screen like, they're there. It's no big deal. But it's literally the largest debut show on the planet, is it not? Am I wrong in that assumption?
I can't really say. I don't.
Got to be close.
I look at a lot of the headlines and stuff out of the shows, and it's I think probably definitely dollar figure the value of the cars that are unveiled there. What was it? Because there's so many things that show up there that they're only going to build 10 of that are $1.5 million a piece, or the most radical. What was it? Hyundai, their Prophecy. concept car that they showed there?
We are going to talk about that.
Are we going to, cool. You're not going to see that for us if you go to the Atlanta show. You're not going to see that at Washington, D.C. There's a remote chance you might see it at Chicago, New York, or L.A., but...
Yeah, you might see it at L.A. L.A.'s huge.
But
if L.A. happens, you might see it at L.A.
No.
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's coming. I swear it's coming, John. Geneva is not the only international auto show that's going to get shut down this year.
Well, it all depends on how quickly we get the, this virus under control and things, and I don't want to talk about that, but I'll say supposedly there's a lot of headway being done at UAB just down the street here. So,
that'd be amazing.
To help, just kind of things that I hardly have time for news. I think there was a Super Tuesday or something yesterday, but we don't talk politics on the show. So, but where do you even want to jump in on this?
Well, I have an international auto show calendar pulled up, and just to give folks a rundown of what's going on an international auto show scale. Obviously, Geneva was supposed to be March 3rd through March 15th, canceled. They totally blitzed that one. The Bangkok International Auto Show was supposed to be March 23rd to April 4th. It's been postponed, and it's possibly not going to happen. The Zagreb Auto Show has been postponed, and that's in Dubrovnik, and that was going to be March 31st to April 5th. And then there's already some others on the calendar that are showing up as postponed. Let's see here. We've got Zagreb. We've got the Beijing Auto Show, April 21st, postponed. Detroit's June 9th. No info on that yet. Jakarta, August 6th. No info on that. Moscow, August 26th. To be confirmed is what they're saying about that. And then Hanover in September. Paris in September on the 29th is when it kicks off. Sao Paulo, November 10th. These are all international auto shows. But up through about April, the international auto shows are on hold. So there's a lot of international automotive press that's just kind of going, okay, here's a good question. Is the international automotive press, which we're at least fringe members of, kind of, we've been talking about this stuff and working around that world for long enough to where I've covered the LA Auto Show. I've covered the Detroit Auto Show for various publications over the years. Is the international automotive press happy that these shows are being canceled and they may actually be able to get an exclusive on some of these new vehicles or be the first to actually get it out? Or does the international automotive press rely so heavily on those shows that all of them are going, oh no? Like, what do you think about that?
I don't think the international automotive press cares because everything that debuted at Geneva, the press already had their press kits. True. They already heard about them, and all they're doing is waiting. Okay, Geneva, the embargo's off. We can show pictures. Jakarta, the embargo's off. We can show pictures of the new Tata Motors or whatever. I'm trying to think here of looking at a couple other shows that. I guess the Bangkok International Auto Show. Maybe we'll get to see the new Lotus or something like that. Which did you see that the Ajiva or whatever it's called is at Amelia Island, and then by invite only in Atlanta? So
what?
They're going to move it. They're going to take it to Atlanta for a VIP invite only. I don't know if it'll be open to the public, but
that's all electric, right?
Yes.
2,000 electric ponies.
Like that. It doesn't really turn me on, but I'll say it's probably one of the few times since I left Barbers that I'm kind of mad I left Barbers because I might have been able to use my barber's pole to go over and see that.
Yeah. I was more excited. Like, I haven't been massively excited about that car. I was more excited when, God, what was his name? The last head of Lotus Cars that was unceremoniously ousted.
We don't. We Lotus faithful don't speak of him.
Oh, okay. So when Voldemort put together the 5 cars that were going to save Lotus, can I say Voldemort?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We'll call him Voldemort from now on. When he put together the 5 cars that were going to save Lotus, I was really, really stoked on at least the concept of the new Esprit. A couple of those cars looked really good, man. I thought that was just going to be awesome.
So go buy the new Esprit.
You can't buy it here, can you?
Yeah, you can. It's called the Huracan.
Oh, well, no, it's not. It's. I hear you, and I understand. I get that. I totally get that. But under the Esprit garb, it was a prettier car.
Well,
it was a much prettier car. It was gorgeous.
Well, recently I posted a Diablo that was for sale that had it was LS powered, 110 grand, clean title. I think it was a pretty good buy myself. A lot of controversy and discussion on that on the various social medias out there. So go out and buy a Huracan, put a Honda K20 power plant in it, and you've got a Lotus. It's 4-cylinder, small motor.
I'm gonna pass on that. I'm gonna not do that. I'm gonna not even consider doing that. And we could walk down the road of supercars or hypercars that you would engine swap if you want to walk down that road before we get involved in what should have happened at Geneva, because it's a tangent that might be worth walking down, but maybe that's another show.
Hey, we're really good about, especially with you, just going off on little odd tangents. But because I'm sitting here looking at the list of stuff that came out in Geneva, and there's only two cars that truly, truly excite me that are coming. And I can't remember what you were talking about the Lotus Agiva or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And it's electric, and you're not getting excited over it. I'm not getting excited over a lot of the electric and hybrid stuff that's coming out. And it's not because it's electric or hybrid. It's old news. A big deal if it's a hybrid. Everybody's building a hybrid now. That's not news. Let's get some, excitement, some engineering behind it. And that's why the Koenigsegg, and I love Koenigsegg's, and they're damn cool cars. That one and what you said you've been following, the technology in that car and what they're building, it ranks right up there. I don't see, but did Nissan have anything that they were debuting there? Nope, doesn't look like it. The Koenigsegg's doing this 3-cylinder valveless motor. And Nissan has their variable displacement motors.
That's the tech, man.
Yeah,
the valveless driveline, man. Oh my God.
The tech is what kind of excites me anymore.
Well, it's not valveless. It's camless.
Camless, yeah, that was it.
Camless.
Yeah, because they're electronically controlled valves.
They're electronic maglev. It's crazy. It's totally crazy, but. I mean, I was watching it. There was a special that was Christian von Koenigsegg. They were talking to him, and someone asked him what the theoretical RPM limit on this new valve train is, and he just kind of looked at him and went, "I don't know." It's like, I don't know. It's way up there. Like, it makes past Formula One 21,000 RPM tech look positively Stone Age. And it's amazing stuff. And I know that there are some what we would consider to be mainstream manufacturers that have taken serious looks at that tech, just because it takes something like a VTEC system to a whole new level. It takes variable cam technology to an entirely new level, where you can have a 4-valve head, 4 valves or 5 valves per cylinder head on whatever size engine you want. And then now each valve is independently controlled for power, torque, MPG. What do you want out of the configuration? And each valve can be tailored to do whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's infinitely adjustable. It's infinitely immediately adjustable timing. And and if you understand any basics of engines, the VTEC system, it gives you two different cam profiles, which is where, the Hondas get their decent low-end power and their high-end power. And variable valve timing, I believe, is in just about every damn thing out there now.
Yeah, totally. Even the Viper has the cam and cam tech where the actual cam, the cam itself slides inside each other.
I'm saying, my Ford Fusion, which you criticize a lot, it's got variable valve timing. It's there. And it's always been the technology that excites me, I think, about cars. That's why I was a Lotus fan for the longest time, because of the innovations that, Chapman brought to racing, and that always trickled down to his real world cars, which are still pretend world cars to most people. And say, because everything that, I'm looking at the list is big deal. We got a new Yaris, and Porsche Cayman and Boxster GTS are going to get, 6 cylinders back.
Don't poo-poo that new Yaris. Are you talking about the Gazoo Racing Yaris?
Yeah.
The Gazoo Racing World Rally inspired. I could be a player for that car. And I know that probably sounds crazy, but I am a fat guy in a little car. I love my Minis and my Fiats, and I love tiny cars. And that Yaris with the Gazoo Racing stuff on it is pretty freaking awesome. Well, but I don't want to go there yet. I want to keep talking about Koenigsegg.
Okay, I was just kind of, rolling along, and I want something that's got to excite me. I mean,
all right, what you told me one car specifically from the Bentley brand that you're excited about, and I am 100% the opposite. And I want to hear why this was going to be debuted at Geneva, and then obviously Geneva's closed. We already covered that, and Bentley has this. I think it's BACALAR. Is that the Bacalar?
I go with Bacalar, but I'm very famous for not pronouncing words correctly. Me and my Acuras.
Your Acura Integra?
Part of this, the new Bentley that I really like, I saw this thing and go, wow, this is exciting. But it carries on some of the Bentley GT styling cues. And I'm tired of the Bentley GT. When did that car come out? 04, 05?
Yeah, it's been out for a long time.
To buy one for $30,000 now isn't unheard of. Now, it's not going to be the nicest thing, and you probably are going to have to fix a few things.
Oh, you're in trouble if you buy a $30,000 Bentley.
I think you're in trouble if you buy a $20,000 Bentley. I still think 30 to 35 will get you something that has some work, but could still be drivable.
Anything on that 12-cylinder breaks, and then you're just, you're in trouble.
Well, then you got a cool coffee table like Farrah.
Absolutely. That's exactly all it is at that point. The entire car. Just pull it inside and sit in it and watch TV.
But I was really, really hoping this new Bentley was an update of the Continental, and I'm hoping it's the precursor to the redesigned Bentley Continental. I love the lines. I love the headlight treatments. It's taking a lot of risks with Bentley, which they did with the Continental when they came out with the Continental GT. It was very different than a normal Bentley. And I think this car makes a statement. I can't remember. What are they building? A dozen of these things? Yeah, a dozen of them. And, of course, they're
building 12.
They're all sold. Barracuda-style drop tops. They really don't have a legitimate top. But I think it's a great move for them. It gets Bentley talked about, whether or not it's good or bad. I'm talking about it. It excites me. It's a car that has styling that excites me.
Really?
Saying there was nothing.
That's exactly the part of the car that I think is ridiculous and derivative. But you're excited by it.
Yeah. It's just...
I mean, it's the same 6-liter W12. It's just been pumped up to 650 horsepower and 667 pound-feet of torque. 3.5 seconds from 0 to 62, I think, is what they're claiming because they're unbelievably British. My biggest issue with it is exactly what you love. I look at it and I'm like, wow, Bentley built a 6 Series. That looks BMW to me. It looks 100% 6 Series with the top cut off it to me. And I'm not blown away by the styling. It doesn't even look like a Bentley to me. That's where they lost me. And that's why I wanted to save this for the show, because I see on your face, you're like, what?
I'm sitting here looking at it. To me, it reminds me of Bentley, but it doesn't remind me of Rolls-Royce day Bentleys. It doesn't remind me of an Arnage. It reminds me of
a 6 Series BMW.
It reminds me of a 20s era Bentley.
Really?
It's got the larger grille. It's got the single pronounced headlights that are almost literally pushed right out to the front of the fenders. The fenders front fenders even kind of have that swoop like you would have had in a 20s style car with the massive brake duct in the front and the ventilation behind the wheel. It's just, I think there are traditional Bentley styling cues in it. You go to the rear, I might say there's a little Aston Martin there in the taillights, or even possibly Porsche there in the taillights. But
the only styling cue on the whole car that I really dig is the headlights. I think the headlights look awesome.
The headlights or the taillights?
The headlights. I think the headlights look amazing. They're pushed out forward, and I like the way that they're oval, but they integrate the side marker into it's. I think that looks really cool. But I think it looks really cool if it's on the Porsche 99 whatever they want to call the next 911.
Yeah, we're at the 992.1 right now, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't go 993 next. That doesn't work. So. Where are they going to go now?
Well, it's like they did with the Boxster series. They had 986, 987, and then what'd they go, 981 or 991 or whatever it was?
981, yeah. 981, and now it's 718, and and then someone in German said hike, and then the quarterback had the football and it faded back, and just weird stuff happened. Just trying to keep up with any of those numbers and letters, and it's just nuts.
I just keep scrolling through this little window of pictures of this Bentley, and I say the interior is interesting, and it's got its special wood or whatever in it. The headlights, the taillights, I don't know what interior it has or what the seats really are, but I like the diamond pattern. It almost looks like crocodile skin or something. I don't know if this has crocodile skin in it. I do like the interior. I mean, the interior looks incredibly well appointed, and it's typical Bentley. It looks like that interior took them 3 months to put together. It's gorgeous. And I'm a big critic, and I watch wheels a lot, and I'm really hoping we can get a wheel guy on the show. I'm trying to talk Will into getting the guy from Rocket Racing Wheels. I've reached out to Brad Fanshaw, who owns Bond Speed Wheels and used to be president of Boyd when Boyd was around, and they were doing all the billet wheels. And I really want to have some wheel conversations, because I like wheels, and nothing on the aftermarket wheel side excites me. I love the wheels on this Bentley. It's still that basic 5-spoke design that I complain about, but it changes it a little bit. And I've seen 2 wheels lately that are still basically a 5-spoke design that have really excited me, and one's a wheel that Brad Fanshaw actually has just released. So
you and I have agreed on so much lately, and tonight we are parting ways, my brother. You know what that wheel looks like to me? It looks like a jazzed up, tarted up VW GTI wheel. Like it just doesn't look special to me. It doesn't look grand enough to be on what is got to be a $400,000 car, I would think.
Oh, I guarantee you this car
$600,000.
Actually, right here it says limited run GT car will cost 1.5 million pounds.
That is not a 1.5 million pound wheel. It's just not. It looks like something that you could have been like, I want that wheel on my Passat R line.
I might say for $1.75 million, that should be a carbon fiber wheel, but I guess.
I mean, not even. It doesn't even have to be that. It's not. It doesn't even look as special as the wheels on my effectively $50,000 Alpha. It doesn't. The wheels on my Alpha are some of the most gorgeous factory wheels I've ever seen in my entire life. And I don't mind saying that. And yes, I'm biased, but they're beautiful. They also look like a hazmat symbol, but it is what it is. I'm not thrilled by that wheel. I'm not thrilled by the exterior styling. The interior is beautiful. But I mean, even the back end, like the back of the car to me, looks like they kind of tried to go 911 with it. Does it not?
Well, I'm thinking it's probably wind tunnel designed. But we also have to look at, like you've said, it looks like a Volkswagen wheel. It looks like a 6 Series. 6 Series doesn't quite fit into the whole gambit. That should be a Rolls Royce. But a 911, I mean, it's all Volkswagen family.
Now that I'm really looking at it from all perspectives, like the 6 Series is the front three-quarter view. I get a lot of 6 Series, but the rear three-quarter view is swoopy 911-y, Aston Martin-y. And then I'm not sure what those taillights are reminding me of, but there's something. It might just be 911 it might be the 992 that it's reminding me of. I do like the spider treatment for the behind the seats with the top down. I think that looks really good. That's cool. I mean, it's not a bad looking car. It just doesn't inspire me, man. And I if it gets you, it gets you. But I look at it and I'm kind of like, it's hodgepodged and it looks a little parts bin. Now that you're telling me it's 1.5 million pounds, holy crap!
I just read a comment on it. It says, "Is it the Salvador Dali bonnet, mustache, an option?" I happen to be a Salvador Dali fan. I've got a Salvador Dali painting here in my office, but it's.
I think the clock should be melted. That would be the perfect tribute.
Okay, now we've sat here and we've talked about this car. And if you get online, and we'll probably stick a picture of it up on the Facebook page to make it easy for somebody to quickly go look at. The thing they're really promoting is I call it the Molnar, but I know that's not how you pronounce it. Every one of these is coach built. Every one of them can be modified and customized. How radically do you think they're going to let people do that? I guarantee you can change wheels. Are they going to actually allow some custom bodywork changes? Are you going to be able to alter that? Or when they're saying they're going to build 12 of these, every one of them's individual, what do you individualize on something like this?
Are none of them going to look like the picture that we're looking at right now that I'm ripping apart and you're loving?
That's kind of my question.
Did Derek get that driveline in his brass era body?
I don't think so, because that W12 is a pretty wide motor.
I tell you what it will fit under, since Derek's not here. It will fit under a Zamboni.
It might. But a Zamboni would probably be better suited to have that Koenigsegg drivetrain because it's electric.
Yeah, and unlimited RPM in a Zamboni. That's exactly what the world needs. There's certain pieces of that car that, like I said, the interior I think is beautiful. The headlights I think are inspired. The driveline it's somewhat proven until it decides to break, and then it basically costs you your 401k plus everyone else in the immediate vicinity's 401k to fix. I don't know, man. It's not as exciting to me as it is to you, but that's what makes the world go round. I'm still looking at the Koenigsegg. I'm literally still sitting here looking. I don't know how to pronounce this thing, but I don't know how to pronounce most of Koenigsegg's car names.
Well, I just always I don't refer to him a lot, and I was always very critical of the man. But I always loved how Top Gear spelled Koenigsegg, and that's kind of how I spell Koenigsegg.
Zig. Lots of G's.
I was looking at the new Ferrari Roma.
All right, I'm gonna have to go take a look at that. I have not looked at that yet. Ferrari Roma.
And this one really, really, I'm not going to say it. I should write it down, but I know that's not very effective. What do you think the side profile of this car? I wasn't sure until I saw the side profile. When I saw the side profile, I go, I do like this thing.
Someone at Ferrari really likes Jaguar. Really likes Jaguar.
That's the rear end styling, and that's what I was kind of looking at. I don't know if you're still on the same site. They call it the lowdown on Maranello's Vantage, and the
lowdown on Maranello's Vantage. That's exactly what I'm on. I'm looking at the second pick, the silver gray car.
Yeah, go to the third pick.
Oh God, that's totally F-Type. That's literally like they grafted a modified Supra front end, Supra prototype, not Supra release, blobfish inspired styling. But it totally looks like a Jag, dude. Totally looks like a Jag. That is a blatant ripoff.
Now to go to the fourth pick.
And the interior's kind of meh.
I'm scanning the text of this article, and I don't see anybody mentioning it here. I think that side pick, lay a Ferrari Daytona coupe next to it or on top of it. I think that screams Ferrari Daytona coupe.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit there, but it's way more F-Type than it is Daytona coupe.
No, I think the rear three-quarter, I think can be F-Type, especially with that funky rounded rear window. I think the side view's strictly Ferrari Daytona, and I think the interior shot is Ferrari Daytona.
I can see the interior being Ferrari Daytona, but only because it is dated. It's dated and boring compared to other Ferraris.
It does have the same center console hindrance that the Corvette seems to have, though, too.
Not quite as bad. Not quite as bad. It doesn't have the Great Wall of China.
Looking at that picture, does it have a...
It looks more like the Porsche. It looks more like current gen Porsche with the waterfalls. What were you going to say? Sorry.
It actually has a screen in front of the passenger seat, does it not?
It's got a infotainment screen in front of the passenger, which I dig that. That's actually kind of cool. Because there are times when I'm like, look, you just handle that. Let me drive.
I mean, I think I'm going to go. I think it's a good looking car. I probably, if I was going to spend this kind of money, I'd probably look Aston. I just like Astons. Is that?
It wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't spend it on that. I would not spend that kind of money on that.
There's only like 200 or so though. I mean, it's
180.
It's Ferrari.
180,000 pounds, I think.
It's 488 money.
Yeah, and it's a new version of the twin turbo V8 that debuted in the 488, so that kind of makes sense. It's just like I would rather have an 812. I'd much rather have an 812 than that car, than the Roma. I honestly, let me take it back. I'd have a 575 before I had the Roma. 575s are still beautiful to me.
I think the 575 falls in. It was the return of the big front engine 12-cylinder Ferrari, and
550.
That's probably the one disappointment in this car is it's an 8 and not a 12. But
yeah. I mean, it's fulfilling a. I guess it's answering an unasked question. Did Ferrari really need a V8 front mid-engine car? Because it's pushed back way behind the front axles, but I mean, I look at the 812 and the Superfast and what's the California. They have a lot more Ferrari design language than this car to me. And I know you're seeing Daytona, and now that you said it, I can see it. But the first thing that jumped out at me was, holy crap! They stole Jaguar's design lead for the F-Type project. I mean, it really screams that to me.
Man, like I said, that 3/4 picture, as I was when I first saw the top picture, and I'm sorry for all our listeners, the top picture all red with the monochromatic red grill and everything. And then I saw the second picture, and instantly it was, Jaguar F-Type. And the third picture sold me on the car. If I had an extra $200,000 laying around and I was looking for my 9th or 10th car in the garage, that might be something I'd consider.
If I had an extra $200,000 laying around, I would go find a nicely kept pre-owned 812. Actually, no. I would go find a nicely kept pre-owned FF and pocket $60,000. Like, I don't know what you can buy an FF for, but I know it's a lot less than you can buy an 812 for.
FF wasn't always I wasn't a big fan of it. So
I just think it's cool as a GT and as a daily driver, and just the way that they laid out the all-wheel drive, driving the front wheels off the front of the crank. I just thought was inspired. I like the engineering. I think I like the engineering more than I actually like the car.
Now let's. I'm going to jump to another one, since we seem to be having disagreements on everything.
Yeah, do you want to be Siskel or Ebert in this episode?
Are we doing thumbs up, thumbs down stuff here?
Literally, no, I don't agree.
I'm looking at the DBX. The new Aston Martin. And ironically, I was listening to a podcast today, Matt Farah's Smoking Tire, and he had a guy on, Sergio, and they were discussing this car, and Sergio hadn't driven it yet. Sergio's a very big Aston man, but his employees have told him it's a pretty decent vehicle. But what do you think? Do we need another one of these in that space?
Oh, let's see. 4-liter V8, 500. It's an AMG sourced 4-liter V8, 543 horsepower, 4.5 0 to 62. What kind of money does it say? What kind of money this thing's going for anywhere? First impression, front on and like dead on front shot, dead on rear shot. It looks like a little bit of Supra melted body panel to me. It's some of that blobfish organic styling that's on the new Supra. The car looks like it's sagging like a new C63 AMG. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it looks like it's like melting to the ground to me. And then I look at the side shot and I'm like, that's a nice Lexus.
189.9 US.
189.9 US. I will take a Trackhawk at 92,000 before I buy that for 189.
And throw the Hennessy kit on it for another 30 grand and
don't even need it. 707 horsepower SUV. I'm golden. I'm not touching it. I'm just going to drive it and melt Corvettes at stoplights. I see the Aston styling, but it looks kind of droopy. Like, and then from the front end, it just kind of looks like Eeyore. Like it's unhappy to be a vehicle.
Well, it's a poor SUV.
Doesn't it look, it's just like, oh, bother. I'm sorry, Pooh.
Well, it reminds me a little, and when the Mustang was redesigned a couple of years ago, it reminded me a lot of Aston. I thought, for some reason I'm going, and the front of this reminds me a little more Ford Fusion, kind of Mustang.
Totally see it. Yeah, totally see it.
There's not a lot. the Bentley, there's a lot that I liked on it. You know, for the front, it looks like a Fusion. I like the taillights on this. I like the picture here with the orange interior. I don't know if I would like this thing with a gray interior. I don't know if I'd like excuse me. I don't know if I'd like the interior in a gray or a cream or anything. Orange, I like.
The baseball glove leather looks good. The interior, I mean, it looks like a comfortable place to be, but again, it doesn't look special to me. Like, it doesn't look like a almost $200,000 vehicle to me.
It reminds me, though, recently I was in a Rapide, and that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
First time I got to drive one, I was like, really?
And the seat wasn't comfortable. It just didn't live up to what what an Aston should. So, yeah, and
the seats aren't comfortable. Nothing falls to hand properly, and it's a V12 with only 450 horsepower that literally doesn't feel like it will get out of its own way. And you should never be able to say that about anything Aston Martin.
And it has that stupid key.
I don't remember the key.
You don't remember the key? You can get the glass key, or you can get the crystal key. And if you
I don't remember. I actually got to drive it at the LA Auto Show on its debut, and
maybe you didn't have
started when I got in it. I may have not even been.
Yeah, I was gonna say you might not have had the opportunity to start it. They come with either a glass key or a crystal key, and it slips in kind of like Superman and his crystals. It slides into a little slot in the dashboard and kind of clips in. If you drop the glass key, it's $2,000, and they break. They're glass. The crystal key is something like $4,500, $4,800 if you drop it, because they made fragile keys.
When you drop it and it breaks, does Emperor Zod come out of it, or does what was Superman's dad's name? Kal-El or Jor-El or whatever. He pops out and he starts talking to you from beyond the grave. That's weird. Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah, and
that's very dumb.
Let me go back to a dashboard picture of this car.
Has anybody ever seen a cell phone screen crack? And as much as people drop those, they probably drop their keys more often. The only really pick that I really love I don't really love it, but the only cool pick, I actually like it with its red camouflage livery with the tag and the Pirelli tag on the hood and the Pirelli on the side. That looks kind of cool to me.
Say I can't stand any of the wrapped. What was that hashtag? Don't crack under pressure. Whatever.
Oh, are you looking for the keys?
I went to see it, and it doesn't look like it's got a key slot. Maybe Aston's finally went to keyless starting now.
Thank God. So they show this thing testing at the Nürburgring. They show it testing off road. They show it testing all over the place.
Well, this is probably.
Oh my God!
Press kit. What?
The rear end.
Yeah.
I just got a very disturbing vibe off the rear end of it. Take a look at a Nismo Juke.
Yeah, I see that.
Oh my God! You should never see that while you're looking at an Aston Martin ever.
Now, even the exhaust tips coming out of the back. I found a lot to say about the Bentley, which I know is going to be controversial. This DBX, I'll pass.
Yeah, go buy a Juke. I'm not feeling it. Now, have you looked at the V12 Speedster that they were debuting at Geneva?
Yes.
That's actually gorgeous. At least I think that's gorgeous.
It took that page away from me again, because I had already clicked it on this one, but
Speedster page?
Yeah, it's just probably.
It's 765,000 pounds. That one's a V12 as well. They're going to build 88 of them. Let's see here. Does it say what size V12? 5.2 liter V12, 48 valve motor. It's got the 8-speed ZF in it, which The 8-speed ZF is basically in everything now. 690 horsepower, 516 pound-feet.
Hey, it has a limited slip.
My God. It better. It looks like a fighter plane, man. It's the styling on this thing is proper. To me, this looks like 50s era retro throwback GT car, like Le Mans car.
Well, that's the whole idea behind this one.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's very pretty. And then the beam that goes through the middle of the cockpit up high that actually separates driver and passenger. For this car, I get it. It's not practical in any way, shape, or form, but it's not built to be practical. They're only building 88 of them. So
the last paragraph kind of explains it all. 60s Batmobile because of that beam.
Right.
FA-18 fighter jet.
Yeah, I'm getting all of that, and the interior is beautiful. That's proper Aston, man. That's like proper what we expect of Aston Martin.
Now, all the exposed carbon fiber. I mean, this one. Does it look at the interior picture with the center beam? It says FA-18 and has 3 little fighter jets.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's crazy. It's on the beam itself, and then it's over on the passenger
on the doors,
passenger door, right on top of the carbon.
Now,
interesting.
See, this one I can get behind. It's got the same taillight that the DBX had, but
yeah, but it's pretty.
Yes,
it's done well.
Well, it's echoed a lot in the rear diffuser and everything.
What was that?
I said it's echoed even in the rear diffuser. There's a top and a bottom. They kind of, I want to say bookend each other, but it's top and bottom instead of right to left.
Yeah,
and I think Aston,
it's a very tastefully done car.
I think Aston does a really nice job with these limited edition speedster things. What was it the DB1 or something that they had? DBS1 back in the about the year 2000.
Oh, they had wasn't it like a 172 or something like that? Aston 172. I could be completely wrong about that. You're looking it up, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
While you're looking that up, I went ahead and opened up all the Aston info that I could find from what was going to be Geneva and the new Vantage Roadster. Did you look at that at all?
I don't think so.
The Vantage is just the Vantage for a long time, and especially the V12 Vantage. I mean, the V8 Vantage is a cool car, and it makes a hell of a GT racer. But the V12 Vantage has really spoken to me for a long time, and this new Vantage Roadster is coming in at like $125K. 125,000 pounds, 126,000 pounds, somewhere in that area is the entry level price for it. And it, to me, even more than the DB, I think the Vantage looks better than the DB now. Call me blasphemous if you must, but I just think it's a beautiful car. The V8, this is a V8, 4 liter V8, 503 horsepower, 190 mile an hour top speed with the roof up, 0 to 60 in 3.7 for 100. It's basically Porsche money, and it's built to compete directly with more of the GT versions of the 911. Like it's built to compete with a 911 Cabrio, and I think it does it in every way, shape, and form, and it does it, dare I say, with more styling than the 911, and I'm a Porsche guy. But I just really, really, really like the new Vantage. I like the new Vantage front end. The first time I saw it, I thought it looked like a whale shark, and I really didn't like the giant. It's still got the Aston design language in the grille, but I didn't like the giant spanning all the way left to right grille that they put on the Vantage at first. But it's grown on me.
Astons are something I I guess I've always liked, but it's something that, because they're not they're not an everyday car. I want to say it's like a cultured, wealthy person's car. I mean, everybody knows a 911, and Mercedes went after the 911 market, of course, with their GT. And, Aston's always been right there for that 911 market with its own little thing. And
especially since the Vantage has come out, definitely. To me, the Aston has always been the UK's answer to Maserati, but they've always been a little more racy to me than Maserati. Even when Maserati was racing in Grand Am, I just was never really blown away by them.
Now I finally clicked over to see the Vantage. I couldn't find the car I was talking about, and
it's beautiful, man. I just really, really like it. And it's the same. It's got some F-type design language. I won't deny that, but Aston is taking that and making it theirs.
Let me pull up a picture here just to make sure I'm not remembering wrong.
What are you looking for?
Yep.
What?
The thing screams Miata.
What? All right, that I'm not seeing. Oh, now I am. Damn you. Yeah, I can see some indie.
Now, I'm working with another guy, and we're talking about doing a podcast on kit cars and replica cars, and one of the things that seems to come up a lot in that world is the Miata is an excellent donor platform. Look, take your Miata, make it into an Aston.
That kit would sell. I mean, as bad as that sounds, that kit would sell. There's always going to be a market for clones, especially pretty clones, and that is a pretty clone. Are you seeing it in the? It's not the belt line. It's sort of the.
It's definitely everything A-pillar forward.
I'm seeing it in the arch off the A-pillar to the front bumper, but once you get to the bumper, it's obviously Aston. I see it in the actual arch.
I see it in the headlights. I see it in the grille. I see it in the shape of the slope of the nose.
I don't see it in the grille at all.
Well, it has an Aston grille on it, but if you took off the little edges of the Aston grille, that's the Miata mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to get me to not like it, though. I still think it's beautiful. Where is that Ferrari, man?
But if you want to be honest, it reminds me a lot of that Ferrari we were talking about, the Roma.
It's a prettier version of it.
Well, I just went by this picture. It had to be a prototype of it because the hood was a lot smoother than what it is. Yeah, this has to be the prototype.
That electric yellow is crazy. And the interior is proper.
But the blue one in this, I guess I'm going to have to take some time and make some Facebook posts so the listeners know what the heck we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we need to put some pictures up, definitely. I think it's a pretty car.
Has the fastest convertible roof of any production car.
Do people really care about that?
As somebody who drove a convertible for quite a long time, yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a Miata for about a year, and I didn't really ever bitch about having to undo the latches and put the top down. I don't.
But you totally controlled that. The Miata's a completely manual. You're sitting at your stoplight. You have the total ability to do everything. If you undo the latches and all of a sudden you realize the light's going to go green, you can latch that back really quick. If you're putting a power top down and it's halfway through its motion and the light changes, you're kind of SOL. Because, you got another 8 seconds for it to go up, or you got another 8 seconds for it to go down, and you have somebody behind you like me that's honking the moment. I'm like a New York taxi guy at a stoplight. I think you commented something on this recently, that I give you about a half to a whole second before I honk.
I said 2.3 seconds, and people jumped on me like, if you don't move within 2.3 seconds after the light turns green, I should have permission to snowplow you out of the way. I'm like, it's just 2.3 seconds. We're not sitting on a drag strip.
And with that statement, I read something, a friend of mine who has an award-winning blog on the topic she writes about wrote something about people with anxiety and their driving. And I'm going to ask her to come on the show and help talk about this, because I've been warned about the way I drive for the longest time. My ex-wife did. My ex-girlfriend did. My fiance does.
You've been warned.
They kind of think I'm a little bit of an aggressive driver. So
I drove all the way to, the car show that we went to. Carlisle in a Fiat, and you were fine. Have you calmed down some, or have you gotten worse since then? That's been a couple years, but
well, we encountered a lot of intelligent drivers. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Oh, are you the road rage guy?
No, I am absolutely not a road rage guy. I absolutely do not tailgate unless you're in the left lane. If you got 2 lanes next to you, nothing's more annoying than being in the left lane and going 65 miles an hour in a 70.
Yeah, it's that.
And nothing's more annoying than being in the left lane going 65 miles an hour in a 70, and you're still passing the other 2 lanes of traffic.
I can agree with that.
But we're going to save, and if I can get her on the show, it might just be me and her talking, but for some reason her post really made me think about some things. I don't know if I'll change, but it made me think. And isn't that what they say? Becoming aware of the problem is half the battle.
I think it's, but then you actually have to do something about it.
Well, you got to. I'm halfway through the battle.
Oh, are you?
I'm aware of the problem.
Okay.
Well, I'm more so aware of the problem. I'm not totally acknowledging it, but.
All right, so I know that we're coming up on an hour, but there's a couple other cars.
No, we've already went by an hour.
Have we gone by an hour?
Yeah.
We're a minute by an hour, basically. Honda has their E, which is their little electric city car. That they've done a couple little facelift things too that they had at Geneva. That 130-ish mile range, 26,000 pounds. I really like it, but I don't know whether it's a 26,000 pound vehicle. But I really do like it. It's a box on wheels. It kind of reminds me of a Polo, like a VW Polo or a Lupo, or even an Up. Which, good Lord, VW, bring the Up to the States, please. I'd buy an Up GTI right now. Like, literally would go online and buy one right now if you could. Love that car.
It's the same money as an i3, maybe a little bit less. It's the same money as a Nissan Leaf.
Yeah, but I wouldn't buy the Nissan. I'd buy a Prius before I bought a Leaf.
But I'm just doing a comparison, though.
Yeah,
I don't think you can sell. I don't think you honestly can bring a well-sorted, decent electric car to market for much under $30 US. Now, this car here's 28.9 pounds, or whatever they call that. So you're probably looking $37,000. I'm not sure what the exchange rate is. It's been a while since.
way too much money for that small of a car. Way too much money.
Yeah, but a Leaf used to start, when I looked at a Leaf, it started at 29. Then you add some options, you're at 35. Then you get your tax credit, and you're back at 28 or something.
It's still too much money for that car. I don't get it, but it's not for me to get. Do you want to talk about the Hyundai that we're never, ever, ever going to get to own? That I think both of us love. Do you want to talk about something that we both like to end the show, or do you want to keep the hate fest going?
If you're going to talk about the Hyundai, it's not something we both love.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, I don't like it.
All right, cool. We have a 100% track record for the evening. I'm going to be Ebert, so just call me Ebert from now on, and you're Siskel. I like it. Why don't you like it?
It's murdered out, and I hate murdered out anymore.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
It does have 6-spoke wheels, so I'll give it that. It's not a 5; it's a 6. But it's. If you want to say Elon drew the truck in 3rd grade, I drew this car in 3rd grade. There's no styling to it. It's 2 parentheses laid on top of each other.
Oh my God. I think it screams 911 crossed with old Citroen. What's the Citroen, the old air ride Citroen DS? Is it the DS?
Yes.
DS.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful, man. The only thing I don't like about it is the rear end looks like a Norelco Razor. That's the only thing I don't really like about it. It literally, like, from the top of the rear bumper to the bottom of the valence on the rear end, it has this screen over it that looks like an electric razor.
Yeah, it reminds me of a Braun shaver, but
yeah, Braun. Yeah, there you go. But I think the styling is beautiful. And Hyundai has been doing some things that I really like.
Well,
and I know that you liked your Veloster. I liked your Veloster.
I have nothing against Hyundai. I mean, I say, and I will attest to it. Hyundai and Kia are the Honda of today. The Honda that you and I remember from the late 80s and the early 90s with reliability, styling, cutting edge, I think is where Hyundai and Kia are today. But now this car does nothing for me.
Really?
Other than make me want to just skip right by it. I can't. Really? Now I can't sit here and pull and say, oh, this reminds me of the short stubby nose. Reminds me of something, but I can't figure it out. I want to say Mondial, but it doesn't have the right arches or anything there.
Yeah, Mondial was flat. Mondial was a triangle, wasn't it?
No, Mondial was a short stubby, but it had a little bit. It had kind of rolled up and over the wheel, and then came back down a little bit towards the windshield.
Straighter lines, though.
Yeah, definitely straighter lines.
Yeah, straight lines. I mean, the cockpit in this thing, it doesn't have a steering wheel, and they don't even go into how it's actually controlled. So they're probably looking at like level 5 autonomy, which we're years away from. Whether you want to think we're closer or not, I don't know, but I really don't think we're that close to full autonomous vehicles being allowed out on the road just willy-nilly.
I will say, going and thinking, because I did notice it didn't have the steering wheel, and if you're saying level 5, yeah, this thing looks like the pod that I do expect to come pick me up and drive me somewhere.
So you think this is the Uber of the future? People will have fleets of these that they just electronically send out?
It's not the Uber of the future. It's...
Oh my God!
You sit at your house, and I picture, and I'm sorry, everybody in the world who's not in Birmingham, Shades Crest Road, my old house there, and it's a house that has a heavily trafficked road directly in front of it. And I just picture a line of these on the road, just driving along, and some of them have people in them, some of them don't. And I decide to leave. I push a button on my phone, and one of them pulls off the line. I walk out, get in it, and it pulls back into line and drives me to where I want to go.
It is giving me, now that we've gone down this road, it's giving me a Demolition Man vibe.
Well, I was thinking a little bit of the Wraith, except the Wraith at least had some styling cues to it. You know, some vents and some gills and bumps and bruises, but
I really can't believe you don't like this car.
No,
I really can't believe it.
I've gone through every picture of this 3 and 4 times, and the nicest thing I can say is at least they didn't use a 5-spoke wheel.
You found something. I think it's clean. I
could just nitpick this thing. Okay, I like the Hyundai badge on the back.
All right, I'm going to pull up pictures of the Ferrari Roma again. You keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to pull the Roma up and just keep finding things. What's Hyundai? Let's see what they're doing with the i20. Nope, not feeling the new i20. I was really hoping that they would GTI. How can I say that? I want them to GTI-ify the i20.
Well, they did that with the Veloster N series.
Yeah, I mean, but they don't have an i20. They don't have, like, you have to get the Veloster. You can't get, like, the square-bodied hatch. You have to have the Veloster styling. And not the Veloster styling, I love it. You like it. It's not for everyone.
No, the i20 would be the 4-door Velociter. Or the Velociter for the family.
Right. And that's why I'd like to see an N package on that. I'd really like to see that damn... they had a mid-engine version of the Veloster that they were teasing. And that would just be epic. That'd be the second coming of the Renault. God, what was that Renault? I'm drawing a blank on one of my dream cars right now. You know what I'm talking about? The Clio.
Okay, I was trying to figure it. I didn't even have an era to begin with.
The Renault Clio, the mid-engine.
The Renault R5 Turbo?
No, it's not. You're going way further back. The Renault Sport Clio V6. It was.
Nope, not feeling the i20.
2001 model.
Well, so far we're not doing well. I'm not feeling the i20.
I'm really not feeling it. Okay. Oh God, we're agreeing again? I thought we had stopped doing that. That's the Renault that Hyundai needs to take the Veloster mid-engine and compete against a car that was made 19 years ago. I really like that car. I think we're drying up on topic, John.
I was just going through seeing if there was anything else, and I mean we've covered a lot of what was supposed to be at Geneva. Hopefully that wasn't boring to everybody, but that's our opinions on it. Maybe it inspires you to go check out. We'll put up some of these pictures and a lot of what we pulled up. I think one of the most in-depth articles was carmagazine.co.uk's description and release. I mean, Motor Trend had a couple, and there were a few others, iMotor and that. But for not being able to go to Geneva, looking at some of these pictures, to sum up the show for me, it's kind of how I've felt the last 4 or 5 years about cars. I love them, but the manufacturers aren't building anything that excites me. We named 2 of them, but I don't have $1.75 million for a Bentley, and I don't have anywhere near the money what a Koenigsegg costs, and I just know way too much about that. I have nowhere near that money. Be honest, Michael Bloomberg probably.
Well, it doesn't. Bloomberg does it now. He did, but then he showed up on all of our TVs for a month, and actually, he still does. One car that I'll mention before I basically say I'm done. What did you think of the restyled, slightly retooled Alpha offerings? Did you even look at them?
Yes.
I look at them and I'm like, if I really wanted a GTA or a GTA M, I could just go buy a Quadrifoglio and pull the rear seat out of it. It's not anywhere near different enough.
The horsepower bump isn't that significant. I don't know what the dollar bump was. They use the typical, it's the thing that drives me crazy, and I've talked about it before. It's a wide body. We put fender flares on it, plastic fender flares.
Only on the rear.
Yeah. So let's roll the fenders out.
My Mercedes is more of a wide body than he's ever thought about being. And it's nowhere near the bump that it needs. It's only bumped to 532 horsepower. I can get more than that out of a Celtron piggyback tune on that 2.9. I think they're pretty, but I'm not feeling the fender flare on the rear. I think that's just stupid. And the wing, that high wing, is at best. And I'm only bringing that up just because I have a Julia, and I just wanted to know what John's opinion was.
Well,
that's why.
In the back of my head, there's I've been thinking of certain vehicles as soon as I start making money again. And I'll say this, and I criticized it earlier, but I don't think I would have a problem buying. You're going to not like the selection of the model, but you'll like the manufacturer. I don't think I would have a problem with a Porsche 718 GTS Spider.
No, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. Like I would rather see you get into a flat six version of the Boxster if you were going to get it. I know that the four cylinders they make great power and they are fast, but they just sound flat. They really don't sound
the GTS 4.0 is a 6.
Oh, you're talking about the new one.
Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about the brand new one.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm talking the new cars that are on this sheet. Realistically, my goal is to maybe get a 986 within the next 12 to 18 months and slowly roll back into it. If I could do a 987, I'd love to. Huh?
You have all my love for anything 4-liter flat six. That's a cool car. I don't really. Weren't those? Isn't that model manual only? Can you get a PDK in that?
I don't care.
I'd rather have a PDK. I'm the weird car person that would rather have the flappy paddles for even odder reasons than most people would. Most people want the flappy paddles because it's easier to drive in traffic. I want them because they're better on a racetrack. And I don't really it's not that I don't care about heel towing, it's that I can't anymore. I've had my ankles broken and now my left foot is as bad as my right foot almost, but literally can't heel toe anymore. It's physically not possible for me to bend my ankle that way. I can do it once or twice and then it locks up. So it's really disappointing.
I was trying to tell, and it doesn't mention anything about the transmission. In this,
I thought I read something about it being manual only, but I have been wrong at least 3 times.
Because it's GTS 4.0, 394 base horsepower version of the 4.0 flat 6, 20 horsepower less than the GT4 and the Spider, but 54 more than the now defunct flat 4 GTS.
It's a cool car, man. So, it's definitely a cool car. And the new Cayman Boxster platform is.
As I've gotten older, I really regret selling my Boxster. I should have kept it, but
it was a nice car. As I get older, here's the weird thing. As I get older, the more I'm like, I could see my next car being a Quadrifoglio. Drum roll, please. Stelvio. I think the Stelvio is amazing.
I was talking to somebody about their Stelvio yesterday. So,
Yeah, I mean, I have really, really liked the year plus that we've had that Alpha, and I could see myself keeping one around for a while. I've even I could have a 4C and be totally happy. I think the 4C is absolutely amazing for what it is.
I regret never buying a 4C, especially back when I had the money to buy one. We looked at the Giulia for her when we were looking for a new car for her, and they're nice. I have no real problem with them, other than what you mutually with me.
Yeah.
And certain things have changed recently, and there might be a chance I can buy a Mopar again.
That's very true.
But we won't get into that, but maybe at some point. But I'm going to wrap up the show for now. And
please do, because I'll sit here and talk all night.
Yeah. You got a little extra show tonight because we weren't here last week. So we'll just leave it at that.
All right.
Remember, check us out on Patreon, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe. Tell somebody about the show if you enjoy it. We've got a whole bunch of good interviews scheduled, some pretty good show topics, where some of these that are involving some research too, not just seat of the pants stuff. We're pretty good at the seat of the pants stuff, but we'll see where we go. We'll join you next week, and we'll see what hosts we have on the air. That's it. And we'll say Zamboni for Derek.